It is a warm day today, 23, 25 degrees Celsius, so we're gonna go for ice cream. Let's go park this dinghy. There is no dinghy dock in North Pam Beach. You pretty much come under a tree beside the bridge on either side of it and you tie up your dinghy. And make sure to lock it. There has been a bit of theft around. Well, Coral is asleep if we don't wake her up.
She's gonna be mad that we wake her up, but even more mad if we don't wake her up, I think.
This is a lot of good ice creams.
Do you want to see which kinds of ice cream they have? Yeah, you can go on my arms. What kind of ice cream do you want?
Ooh. This year power has been pretty amazing with our 300 amps in the AC setup and 606 amps in the DC. So I'm actually, ooh, Carl's excited. I'm actually getting to cook on my little induction plate using a little bit of power. So right now I'm using 63 amps, but it does cook fairly quickly. The only thing that's annoying is that I had to get a special pan that fits on it.
Well, it's high time that I get these batteries all hooked up properly. We got these new SOK batteries. We're gonna do a little review and show you all the sweet features of them. But when I installed them, I was just getting them hooked up temporarily. As you can see, there's one battery over here, then we have our starter battery, and then two more SOK batteries. And the problem with that is there's different length, and even in this case, different size cables running between the different batteries. And what that does is it makes the batteries not see the same voltage. Because the charge and discharge curve of lithium batteries is fairly flat, there's not a huge change in voltage until it either gets fully discharged or fully charged. What happens is the cells themselves within the batteries, there's 4 cells, they get charged evenly because there's a balance circuit inside here that actually tries to keep them balanced once the battery's fully topped up. But the different batteries themselves also have to stay somewhat even, or we end up with different issues like, for example, this battery is not cycling nearly as much as these other batteries. So to fix that, I'm going to install 2 bus bars roughly in the middle of the two. Ideally, I would have, my initial plan was to put fuses on each one of these battery terminals, but I don't have the height that I need. So I'm going to have to work out something different for that. My theory is I'm going to connect each one to the bus bar, and then from the bus bar I will have a fuse. It's not exactly ideal, but at least it'll be something. Plan is to cut each wire that goes to the bus bar from each battery the same length. So my longest run, which is either from this battery on the positive side or this battery to my rough position of my positive bus bar, they each need to be all the same length. So the longest run of battery wire will be my measurement for even the shorter ones, and that will make it so that the bus bar sees the same voltage. There won't be a difference in voltage, because the longer you have a cable, you have voltage drop on that cable, even if it's a big beefy cable. So I got some 1/0 wire here that Ben from Sailboat Story was nice enough to supply us with some spare wire he wasn't using. So thank you very much, Ben. I'm going to cut them each to, and Coral's throwing down her pajamas. And these are shears, they're not just bolt cutters, so they actually shear the entire wire when I cut it, and makes a nice clean cut. Oh yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So as you can see, all 3 wires are pretty much the same length. So while I'm in here, I'm going to have to disconnect everything. So I might as well change out some of these terrible connectors that are going to our main power. Or this one's obviously just our ground. It's going to the ground plate. And then we have our positive that looks just as bad over here. That is going to the DC panel. So I'm going to cut back, hopefully not too far, to get rid of the corrosion. After just stripping away a little bit, we still have no clean copper, a lot of black, a lot of blue-ish oxidization. So I'm going to have to keep cutting a little further until I get some clean wire. I'm doing the new connectors, so I might as well cut it back until I get some good clean copper here. So this is what I'm looking for when I take off this. No powder, nice clean wire. Just keep cutting, 6 inches or so at a time until I get a nice clean section. That's what we're talking about. Nice clean wire again on both ends. Well, I keep shortening this wire here, and we're getting pretty much to my max amount of shortness, and it seems like the entire wire is complete crap. Actually, this is the end that was on the terminal block, where all the DC connections, the negative connections, are made, and you can actually hear it. You can hear all of the corrosion inside the wire when you bend it. Anyway, so this wire is toast. This was the wire going to the starter battery, so this is likely part of the starter problem. Yeah, look at that. That's what we want. Nice bare copper. Ideally, it would be tin copper, but all this boat was wired with non-tin copper, and I'm just trying to make use of what I have right now. All right, I finally got these wires cut so that they're actually clean wires on either end. I actually had to cut like 2 feet off of both ends to get to clean wire, which obviously means both these wires are far too short to reach, but because my plan is to put a bus bar here, a negative bus bar here for all of my battery hookups, I can take the negative from both the starter bank and the negative from my house bank and connect it to the same point, and then from that point I can run back on these cables to the bus bar in the back.
Oui, ça va ton petit morceau de lait, mais voilà mon amour. Bon appétit! Well, Court has taken off the power, so tonight I am cooking on AC on the induction plate. Works pretty awesome. Does use a bit of power though, but I made some pretty nice stir fry. Ooh.
What are you doing, Coral?
Attends, laisse-lui le sacre.
Okay, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. Poor guy, look at him. It's like that's so sour.
What's Mother? Mother.
Full moon.
Moon. Ew. We dans le dark.
Please, honey.
So last night I was pretty much flipping out because there was these crazy loud sounds that I've never heard before on either of our vessels. And I mean, we've been cruising for like 4 seasons, but there was like this, I mean, we're used to hearing like the crackling, and it's like a crackle, almost like Rice Krispies when you pour milk on them. But it's like, yeah, like almost like a, and it's like little shrimps eating and doing things on the hull. And so we're used to that sound. But then yesterday we hear like these loud, like almost like knocks on the hull, moving around the entire hull. And of course it was right after, well, it only comes on during the night, but it was sometime right after I had tuned the rig. So I was like, are we like, is our boat falling apart, or am I flexing the boat so much because I overtuned the rig or something? Like, I was basically flipping out, looking all over the place, trying to find where the sounds were coming from.
Corey was terrified.
Well, I was really starting to be concerned because we're about to jump to the Bahamas, and I don't want to find some huge issue when we first arrive
What
there.
just happened under my foot?
So here, I'm gonna try to show you them. They're few and far between right now.
You won't
but
see them.
You won't see them, but maybe you'll be able to hear them.
Feels surreal. I think we're gonna be crossing to the Bahamas tomorrow, which also means that there's a bit of prepping to do prior to crossing. We are just about to go on a meeting with the flotilla group because we are going to be 4 boats crossing together tomorrow. There's a sailboat story.
Yeah!
Oui, avec Coral en haut, and Coral is going to go to the meeting too.
Alright. Whoa, what a jump.
Right, Coral? On s'en va meeting? Right. So we're gonna talk about
to get our web after the meeting.
yeah, because Coral wants to play in her swimming pool. I got her set up in the cockpit, but don't want her to get all wet before we head over. So we're gonna talk about our route tomorrow and all that. I think it's gonna be a 24-hour crossing all the way to the Berries. Really exciting. Well, we've gotta clean up the deck. Gotta go get some diesel and gas. And Corey's off with a lot of diesel jerry cans.
Gonna go spend a bunch of money at the expensive gas station. But it should be our last fill up for a long while because after crossing the Bahamas, I don't think we're gonna be using a whole lot of fuel. At least that's the game plan. We'll find out. I'm gonna try to dispose of some old ATF and last bit of fuel for the dinghy.
Dump our garbage, do one last grocery run, last grocery shop. This looks a little different with kids. I have milk. I never used to have milk. And Coral loves her juice. So apple cider, orange juice, cream for Corey, loads of eggs. And clean downstairs. And maybe try to prep a little bit of food. We'll see how much time I have. Having fun in the pool?
Yeah, we're playing.
Carl woke up wanting to go in her swimming pool.
Daddy is taking out the oil. The transmission oil. Oh, it's already sucking up plastic. That's not very much. Okay, you can push it down.
You can't? Right.
You having fun over there?
Click to clear is a headache. If you've been traveling to the Bahamas for the last, I believe, 2 years is when they actually made it mandatory. They started using it a few years ago, but it was a total disaster. And it's still a total disaster. The thing just does not work. I've been working on trying to input all the information for our vessel, for the master, crew, passenger, all that declaration to get into the country, and it's just so glitchy. Like, the page just kind of freezes and doesn't want to show you all the information. Funny thing is that if I flip my cell phone, it kind of comes back every once in a while, or it'll just jam on the calendar and then you can't select any dates because they don't exist anymore, and it doesn't want you to do anything. Like, you can't refresh it, you end up pushing back and then it erases everything you've done. I hate Click to Clear. It is the worst system I've ever used.
But anyway, it seems like Alex is making headway, just very slowly. And my theory is it would be a lot easier on the laptop, because it certainly doesn't seem like it's optimized for mobile. Something I wanted to mention as well. Some people have asked, who's the captain?
I'm the captain. as of tonight, I am the captain. I am the paper captain, so I deal with all the paperwork. I'm the one that's gonna go to port and register the boat, do the immigration, customs, and all that stuff, as well as I do a lot of the route planning.
But I think we kind of tag team that one together because Alex is more of the conservative route planner, and I'd be more tempted to go out in a little bit stronger stuff. So sometimes she points out that, hey, maybe this isn't the best passage, and maybe we shouldn't go out in these conditions, especially with Coral being so seasick. But tend to be the captain underway, so that gives us both a bit of a captain status. Alex is officially the captain of this vessel. You won't argue with me if I make a decision underway, because that seems to work well for us. Because
you're better at sailing. Corey is just much more comfortable with this sailboat. He's gonna know what to do in which situations. I'm gonna stress out a bit more and just freeze. So that's why he is the captain with the sailing aspect, with the technicalities of it. Mind you, if we do decide to change plan halfway through the passage, we usually will talk about it, unless it's a dire life or death.
It's not like we argue a whole lot about our decisions in the captain aspect. You know, I've heard people previously say, well, you need one captain. There's no way around it. You can't both be captain, because if you both have an opinion that varies, well, who's going to be the decision maker, right? So that's kind of why we've made it more or less clear, okay, well, I'm the captain in this scenario and you're the captain in that scenario, just to avoid any of those issues if they did arise. But so far it's been pretty good. I mean, we're both very open to listening to each other in either scenario, so it's not like the captain's word is final all the time. But yeah, that seems to work well for us. Maybe not for everybody, but it works for us.